Hello, Hekate devotees, witches, and fellow occultists alike out there. Today's video is about how I helped close a portal using two forms of Hekate. Let's talk about portals for a minute, and then I'll talk about the ritual and the end results. So, I believe there are ley lines. There are connections of energy in certain spots all across the planet that are like a crossroads. Hecate's energy there, or there's like an opening where creatures, human embodied spirits, non-human embodied spirits, elementals, fae folk, demons, if you will, angels, if you will, they all use this to go in between our human existence. We feel them all the time. And I know personally as a witch, and I'm sure you, if you've done any type of ritual or practice or are sensitive to energies, have come across these areas. They'll either feel beautiful, blissful to you, you enjoy the energy, you feel recharged, or they feel like they are sucking the living life out of you. That warning is there, the hairs on the back of your neck stick up, and you know to stay away from that area. Us as witches, I've known people that have opened these portals up, manifested them with their own energy. And I've also known people to close these spots. Me personally, I know Hekate, she knows what she's doing. She opens these spots or uses them as gateways. So generally, I don't fuck with them. But in this instance, my family needed help. My niece was struggling in the area she was living in. She's living with her boyfriend and her boyfriend's parents. And all of them in the house have experienced phenomenon and a feeling of unease. She came to me after they had tried certain things to help avert spirits or trying to keep the portal from letting anything else out. But it wasn't working as well as they had hoped. So, let me tell you a little bit about my family so you can understand. So my eldest sister, she's 60. She is a pagan priestess. She's been doing that for since I was little. So she has a ton of experience underneath her belt. My niece reached out to her first, but she didn't get back to her. Underneath her, there's my sister who is Mormon. She's 45. And underneath her is my sister who's 43. That is my niece's mother. She's not a witch, but she is empathic. She has intuition and she feels things. She just doesn't do the ritual end of everything. That's, and then of course there's me. I'm the baby of the family. So, like I said, my niece reached out to my eldest sister. She didn't get back to her. So she'd done certain things to try to prevent this. It wasn't working. So then finally she's like, Auntie, please help me. So I was like, of course. We got to the house and her and her boyfriend started walking me and my sister through the things that they were feeling. It's a 6-bedroom, 2.5 bath, so it's a huge place. It has a little bit of surrounding property that has trees and bushes, which is important. I'll come to later. So my niece was telling me, particularly at night, she sees a very tall humanoid shadow figure in between the kitchen and the laundry room. So it goes the dining room, which is like a den type of area, the kitchen, the laundry room. It goes down hallway for 3 of the bedrooms, and then the bathroom. Then you walk this way, and then there's the formal living room. Down a little bit, the master bedroom with bathroom, 2 more bedrooms, another bathroom, and then the garage, 2-car garage. So it is a huge space. And she tells me she sees the figure right off the kitchen laundry room area. Her boyfriend says that there is a portal above that area that is letting things in, that is causing them irritation. They're stressed, fighting all the time. Depressions hit the house. Everybody is just uneasy. It's not just the fighting feeling that it's feeding off of, but it's physically attacking them as well. She didn't say scratch marks or anything, but they'll feel like something touched them, or tightness around their throat. Um, they've also said that they've seen a little boy ghost running around, that they've seen something outside that runs up and back to the tree. And her boyfriend, and his family are all sensitive. They're empathic or intuitive, so they've felt the presence of his grandma in one of the rooms. So knowing that there are some positive family spirits in the house, I didn't want to completely cleanse the area of all spirits, just malevolent and ill-willed spirits. So her boyfriend is on the Norse path, and he made bind runes and protection runes that he'd put over the area he thought the portal was coming from. But it seems that that area was just one spot. It is all the way through the top of the house. There is a attic space, but not big enough for any furniture or people. It's like a crawl space. It's not really storage. So that's one of the areas that they have all said they felt something malevolent in. And so they had a lot of antiques in their house. There was nothing up there. So I eliminated that process. There was a room in the house that had energy attached to it. There were things. When you put your energy into something, you've owned something, your clothes, your furniture, you loved a piece or an item, and you die. Sometimes your energy manifests on that. And it's not you physically, it's not your spirit or your soul there, but it is your energy and a part of your memory. So that one room had memories attached to it and that kind of energy, but nothing malevolent. So I left that room alone. But the main thing I was feeling when I walked into that house was a presence, a very strong presence out on the patio where the very specific tree was. As a matter of fact, while I was sitting there talking to my niece and her boyfriend, my sister's on the side of me and her both saw a shadow dart across the outside. And, I will sit there and say, okay, birds, cats, I will eliminate everything before I go, oh, it's definitely a spirit. But it was clear. It was a fuzzy shadow, and it was about knee high. So I was like, that is not a bird shadow. That is something physically darting out there. Not an animal. We would have seen a figure of an animal. It was broad daylight. We didn't do this at night. When we were walking through the living room, my sister felt like something was choking her and pulling her back towards the garage. So those two spots, I was like, okay, we're going to concentrate here. And again, I didn't want to get rid of any of the good spirits or the family spirits, so I was kind of really specific how I wrote this ritual. So, what did you need to do this ritual? Well, this is what I did. You can come up with your own ideas, or maybe this will inspire you. So let me talk to you a little bit about some of the modern things I do when I do rituals. I love tradition. I love ancient script and how they We're very specific about how everything works into each other. And sometimes it's hard to find older herbs. Sometimes herbs are extinct. There was a very specific one in Egypt that they used for contraception, and it is literally extinct now because the populace used it so much. So sometimes you got to be inventive for modern times. You know, we don't live in ancient domiciles. We don't live in stick and stone huts. We live in double insulated, houses. So one of the ideas I had for closing the portal was using a small piece of painter's tape with Hekate sigils on it, bound with oil. And I will come back to that, but I'm letting you know that sometimes it's good to use modern tools. We have them, use them to our advantage, incorporate them with the old. Honestly, that is, I keep saying that again and again. Like living in an apartment, you can't burn incense, you get the wax burners. You adapt. So the tools that I used the painter's tape with the marker that has been blessed and Hekate oil. That's one of the things I used. So I got that ready. I set it aside before I even opened up the house to Hekate. I used a mix of sea water, cinnamon, lavender blossoms, and a little extra more salt in there. I use that for cleansing and bringing positivity in the area. I used a combination of brick dust, grave dirt, and ritual ash to seal and bind the property. And again, I used the sigils to bind and protect the property and close the portal. Seawater, grave dirt. Oh, and I gave a offering of tobacco, honey, and rum. Almost all spirits, I won't say all of them, but almost all of them, humanoid and non-humanoid, enjoy these comforts of earthly pleasures. Especially the rum and the tobacco. You use that in most rituals and offerings to the gods. So why not offer it to human or non-human entities? So walking through this house, what did I feel? I felt outside there was a fae or maybe elemental. It was not human. Inside the house, I felt there was a ley line, definitely some energy crossing there. Did I feel anything malevolent? No, but things usually don't come at me or bother me because I am protected by Hekate. And I don't like to sit there and be like, oh yeah, I'm blessed, but I have sigils of her covering my entire body. I not only did that, but in my shoes, whenever I get a brand new pair of shoes, I write her protection sigil with Enodia, so I never get lost, and I'm always on her path. So I was wearing those shoes today too. So I was head to toe pretty well protected, so maybe that's why I didn't feel things so much. But like I said, my sister felt that strong pull, the hands on her neck pulling her towards the garage, so she felt something was not happy. And I'm going to absolutely take her word for it because, like I said, I got a shield on. I'm like putting on body armor and tactical gear. You can tap at me, but I'm not going to feel it as much. So the first thing I did is everybody went outside the front door. That way I could cleanse everybody, get rid of all the nasty, negative energy that they've been feeling, and put up a protective barrier for them so when we went through and started to cleanse the house, they wouldn't get attacked. So I took the seawater that had the lavender and the cinnamon and the extra sea salts, and I touched their forehead from the deepest earth, their wrists from the fullest sea, their belly button from the highest air, their feet from the hottest fire, and cleanse and protects the souls from malevolent spirits. So wash their body, touch those very specific pinpoints, because those are where we exert and connect energy. Then I dip my thumb in the Hekate oil, which I had made in a previous video if you wanted to check that out. And I placed it right there in their third eye. May Hekate guide and guard you as we walk through her realm and spaces between. So once I cleansed everybody, I we all went into the kitchen and I set up the offerings. I made one specific offering of the tobacco, the rum, the honey for Hekate, and I made another one that we were going to put outside to attract the spirits outside before we sealed the house. Excuse me. So once I got the offering set aside, everybody's cleansed, they're in the kitchen. I have my little tape sigils ready. I invoked Hekate using the Greek magic Propylaia, the nether and nocturnal and infernal goddess, a dark, quiet, and frightful one. O you who have your meal amid the graves. That's the chant I used to invoke her and bring her into the space. After that, I got my mean voice on, which is we all have that voice that, not all of us are parents, but I like to call it the parent voice, the you better not do that voice, and the commanding voice. That's a better way to put it. So I used my commanding voice and said, I call upon you, Hekate Aurobore, voice of the dead, sword of the slain, mouth of the devourer, she who dispatches offending ghosts, you who evict wayward souls that outstay their welcome. I ask you to be my hands today and help me eviscerate all spirits who cause harm and discomfort within this domain. So, once I did that, I took some of the seawater and kind of sprinkled it on and around the area we were in. Then I called Propylaia. I call upon you, Hekate Propylaia, she who is the gate and the gatekeeper. You are the portal to the other realms, the light in which the dead wander towards in the afterlife, the structure to protect the inhabitants from beyond the grave. I ask you to close the gateway in this domicile to all spirits who wish to cause harm and discomfort. Guide the restless dead with your magnificent light away from this place and bring peace to all who dwell here. So once I invoked Propylaia and did the commanding voice, we took her sigils that I had blessed with Hekate oil, and as a matter of fact, I will show you them if you ever want to. They are in the Hecatean, so yeah, I don't know if you can see them very well. That one's Propylaia, and that one's Aurobore. So then I put those sigils on the ceiling. I put them right where they felt the energy, where the portal was. And I put them right above the garage. And I put them in the living room, because that was the place that felt the darkest to me. Something was pulling in and around that area. So I was like, okay, let's hit all these spots. So once I put the sigils up and gave them a good tap and you know, put my energy into that space, that sealed off the top part of the house. We didn't feel anything come through after that. So once I did that, I put the offering of tobacco, honey, and rum out on the front patio. This was to try to get the spirits to go out that way. We opened the front door and we opened the back door, so whatever was in the backyard could come through the house and go out the front. So once we had placed the supper outside, I started saying, in the name of Hekate Aurobore, I push you spirits out of this house. There is an offering of tobacco, honey, and rum waiting for you outside the threshold. May Hecate's mercy and brilliance guide your way to the other realm. Once I did that, I got ready to smudge the house. So I had a nice big thick piece of sage that had lavender wrapped in it. Sage is good for cleansing. Lavender is good for calm, peace, and bringing in positive energy. So we started at the back door and smudged that whole area. So that's like the den, into the kitchen, into the laundry room, into the hallway right off of it, down into the living room, down into the master bedroom, through all the way to the opening where the garage was. And as we smudged that area, in the name of Hekate Propylaia, I bless this gateway and threshold. May she guard this house from harm and ill will. I ask you, glorious Hekate, to bring peace and prosperous times to all who dwell here. So that's what I said when we smudged every doorway, every window. Then we sprinkled water on the doorway to cleanse the area, so it's making a positive barrier. It hasn't shut the gate to let the flow of energy out, but it has made it to where malevolence cannot enter back in. So as we sprinkled the doorways with the sea, cinnamon, lavender water, in the name of Hekate Propylaia, I ask for protection on this gateway, that no wandering or restless spirits, demons, fae, or elementals cross this barrier. I give thanks and relief for showing mercy to the living human inhabitants of this property. I was very specific by saying that because you wanted to keep the ancestral spirits in the home, but I wasn't 100% sure everything I was dealing with. I know I felt that fae folk outside, and inside the property I could be dealing with non-human entities. Not entirely sure. Usually those ones are the stronger ones, ones that had not been born into a human body but still hang around the earthly plane. I for sure was dealing with some that are human embodied or had lived in a human body because of the little boy that they saw and him feeling his grandma. So I made sure to, check all my boxes so that I wasn't letting anything else back in, not by including them in that range of titles there. So once we sprinkled the water around the doorways, I went and used the brick, grave, dirt, and ash mix to seal the doorways, so that way nothing else is coming in and out. They should have had their moment when we smudged to leave to go out to the offering. So at this point, if they're in there, this is gonna send them somewhere else. Once you bind those doors, once you seal them, that's keeping everything out and keeping everything else in, or eviscerating the problem altogether, because I'm very specific about what I'm saying, getting rid of all the negative energy. If they stayed once I barred the doors, Hekate is going to deal with them how she sees fit. Let me start by saying this, that I work as Hecate's vessel when I do this. This is all her energy coming through me. So she will take care of the spirits how she sees fit. She will either move them somewhere else, seal them, or bar that portal. So as I sealed the doors with the grave dirt, I again stated, please no restless spirits, demons, fays, elementals crossing the barrier. After we had sealed the property, we went back into the kitchen and I gave Hekate her offering and thanked her for her presence. Queen Hekate, we make this offering to you, supplicants of tobacco, honey, and alcohol, as we are grateful for your service. Your presence is here, goddess. It is felt. To all those in your name devoted, we rejoice. May you accept this offering and your blessings descend upon all those who called you here today. Your death, your destruction, your beauty, you are the grave. I love you, majestic Empress of the Crossroads, bringer of light, queen with the horns. All is your will, Black Hekate, so let it be. So that's how I ended the service, by giving her thanks, by, mentioning some of her epitaphs, and directing my energy towards her offering. I put her plate of offering next to the stove. They did have fireplaces. I would have put it next to a fireplace. Pretty much I'm putting it next to a fire source because I'm thanking the Queen of Light, for her presence, and for burning away all the negative feelings. So we put it in the kitchen next to the stove because every place else on the mantles and stuff were taken up by photos and whatnot. So I didn't want to disturb anybody's, how they have their house set up. So by the stove it went. Then afterwards, I went outside because now that I put the barriers up around the doors, I went outside to try to help deal with whatever fae or elemental is running around outside, climbing up the tree. So this tree, it's adjacent to the living room, which is where I felt that presence coming from. Its branches go up and over the neighbor's yard, so I felt like the presence was maybe coming up from the neighbors and going into their yard this way. Everybody else felt a little differently, so I just let people have their opinion and dealt with what was pulling me in that direction. So I took they had already put a small offering out there of tobacco and honey for the presence of this being, and it still was being, running back and forth. So at that point, I sprinkled the seawater on the base of the tree and up the base of the tree, and pretty much was like, if you're here to bring harm or cause mischief, stay out of this yard. And then I put the brick dust around the basin of the tree, put some on my hands, slapped the bark 3 times to awaken Hekate within the base of the tree. And I called Hekate in and I said, protect all those that live here, protect this property from harm or maliciousness or ill will. And if this being wants to live peacefully, then we accept it's living here. If it's here to cause harm or mischief, then please, Hekate, seal it in this tree or in this area. So after that, I had my sister outside with me, my niece and nephew, they walked everywhere with me when I was doing this. So when we went outside to do the tree part, my sister was telling me I did not like it. It felt angry, and I'm like, I would agree. It was rattling the branches pretty good. So I was like, okay, let's just go back inside so it doesn't decide it needs to be snarky and come after us. So we went back in the house. They have a very old car out in the garage. It's been in 2 different accidents, and that was part of the source of what they were feeling. So I asked him before we started, did you want me to cleanse the garage or just seal whatever the heck is in here? And he said, you don't need to cleanse the garage, just we put the sigil up and then cleanse that door. And that seemed to have barred everything from coming in. And I tell you that because once we cleansed the tree and we came inside, we wrapped everything up and we're getting ready to go. And my niece's boyfriend had left the garage door open so that when we cleansed, things could just leave through that way if they wanted to. And as me and my sister were getting in the car, we felt something kind of lurking around in there, but it wasn't doing anything. So, like, fine, it stayed out in the garage. We don't need to worry about it. Um, as we were going home, my niece texted my sister and was like, I heard a tapping on the window. And we both reassured her, it's outside. You know, it hasn't come in the house, so let it stay outside. If it's not hurting you, then ignore it. So a week later, it's been 2 weeks now, and I asked her, how does the house feel? And she said it felt a lot better to her. She no longer is afraid to be in the house at night. I gave her a vial of my Hekate oil, so she has that if she feels a presence or needs a little extra protection. She could put that on her. I told her you could put it in a bath, you could put it on the heels of your feet, you could put it in the parts of your hairline, any place that energy escapes or exerts. So she said that the house feels a heck of a lot better. It feels lighter. She's not afraid to be in the house at night anymore. She still feels a presence out in the yard, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. And her boyfriend's parents came home because they were away while we did the cleansing. They knew I was doing the cleansing, that I had their permission, but one of the reasons why I didn't film the whole thing was it's somebody else's house and they're not there on the property. I'm not gonna put their business up on YouTube, you know? So when they came home, they said that it didn't really feel much different to them, but you know, sometimes the feeling in a house is also partly because the people that live in there. So you know, I'm sure everybody has a story about, hey, I lived in this property with so and so, and as soon as I moved out, I felt like a weight was lifted off of me. Everything felt amazing. So we do put energies out there sometimes, especially like living with others, that can be a little bit hostile. Was that the source of the issue in the house? I would say maybe 10% of it was people, not just spirits in the house. Because, like I said, when I cleansed it, she felt positive, she felt good. It didn't feel malicious or heavy on her anymore. But everybody else, her boyfriend said it felt positive as well. He felt that really did help with the cleansing and putting up the protection. Everybody else was just, you know, whatever to it. So, did it work? I would say so, because she's not feeling like shit anymore. She's not feeling that heavy presence anymore. So, there you have it. It was, in my eyes, a success because she feels at peace right now, and that's all my concern was. You got to take care of family, you know? So if somebody requests something, as ludicrous as it may be, humor them, because there may be a fucking problem, and you may be a solution to a problem that they can't wrap their brain around. So I hope that this video finds you well. I hope that you are at least entertained by my story and got some kind of inspiration using some modern tools in there with your, you know, ancient magic, or inspired to cleanse your house in a certain way. I hope that's all I do these videos for, to connect, to let people see what I do, to get ideas for themselves so they can have a better spiritual and connection with their deity. So, I hope everybody has a good October. I'll try to post another video. Maybe I'll do some seance in the house because somebody died in my house a long while ago, but should be fun. Anyway, have a wonderful October. Bye.